So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hassan's. And today, my guys, I have a lot of things to talk about. It's going to be a jumbled up podcast because I get to speak about different topics. It's not going to be much more of solid specific topic that I'm going to talk about, but rather observations I have made throughout the weeks or throughout these 2 weeks. I came across a documentary about this babe got on social media back then when social media was coming in, and then she found a very good particular strategy to get an audience, and she came across the most vulnerable audience of all, which were cancer patients. Belle Gibson decides to open an app that's going to help donate or get money for cancer patients or help fund charity funds that would create awareness on how to take care of yourself, on how to have a health journey, especially when you're ailing from cancer. So she came up with an app where people would send donations. And then later on, long story short, because I'm not going to give the whole story, just a synopsis, but you guys should definitely go and watch it. Her close friends ends up noticing or finding out that it was all built on a hoax, or it was all a hoax. So she starts digging in to find out what exactly was Belle Gibson up to, or what was she targeting. It narrowed down to her making millions and millions and becoming somebody big. Even applications like Apple were endorsing her. In fact, when the Apple Watch was coming out, her application was automatically in the Apple Watch. That's how Apple had closely endorsed her, because it was a big project. Like, if you think about it from the outside point of it not being based on a lie, it was actually a good initiative. Only that the background story, or the foundation to which it was formed on, was quite crazy. To date, Belle Gibson is still scot-free. She's still out there living her life. Nobody ever followed up on anything. But my main point was a lot of people who decided to join or even focus, because her main thing was people should stop going for cancer treatment and rather focus on taking the healthy route of nutrition and all that. But do you know, it only makes sense if it actually has worked on you, for you to come back and tell people that you don't need to go for radiation, but you know what, this is the other healthy route that we can take, and we are going to follow this route, and for real, it definitely worked. But can you imagine the victims that ended up dying while taking this advice? Can you imagine the victims that their health could have improved if they only went for this radiation? It all starts from a small lie. Bella started with a small lie. She started with posting just a simple post of her. She's been having cancer, but she's trying to beat it and following this route of being healthy and all that. It just started as a simple lie, as a simple post. And the simple post eventually leads to one lie and another, and build up until to a point where you actually can go back, So I tried to narrow down, what is the psychology of lie? Could it have been a point of survival? Could it have been a point of wanting attention? Could it have been a point of greed? Could it have been a point of protecting your image? Because over time, you constantly find yourself lying one or two. You throw lies here, one or two, for survival, or because there is need to lie. But if you come and check correctly, these things eventually follow up and follow you, because you have to keep lying for you to keep up with your previous lie. This deception or lies, as much as maybe they might be innocent or you did it for a particular purpose, end up being a harm or a cause of harm to somebody. I wanted to understand where Bella was coming from, because it all didn't make sense as to why you would create something big like that to come and lie in the basis of making money. At that time, she was ahead in terms of marketing strategies. And this is somebody coming in to already show you that she has cancer, but she's trying to live positive. She's trying to create awareness on how, and Macu brain tumor is crazy. So imagine that's the biggest part that's sick, but you're out here in the street showing people how to be positive, showing people that, you know what, even with this sickness, I can still do something, you know? But all this based on a lie. And then they stop taking their medicine, they stop going for radiation, they stop doing all that to follow your point. And it all comes down to us back as a society, as I was saying. We often really like, because social media has become a really powerful platform for us all. Nowadays, even that's why mainstream is losing its audience and mainstream is losing its value, sorry to say, because we all have that platform now. We can access every single person in every part of the world as long as you have the internet or you're online, you know. And with that story, it taught me that a lot online that we keep taking in as an audience should come with filters, you know? You should know what you can take in and what you don't need to take in. You need to have a balance in between what you consume and what you don't consume, because social media has a way of misleading people. And a lot of people don't notice that until it's very late. Take an example of this now Bella Gibson story. These are patients who, yeah, radiation, I know radiation can be crazy, and I can imagine how crazy it is to the point of desperation where you just want some way out of this sickness. You just want way out of this pain. And you can take anything at that point. But we need to have that point of discernment as human beings, as hard as it may be, as desperate as we may be at that point. We need to have discernment big time, because we all have this platform. We all have this platform right now. Even that's why I normally say podcasts. Everybody can speak. I can simply hold a microphone and start speaking. And then again, my famous quote I normally say, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has them. And now we have that platform to put it out there for everybody to listen. So imagine you want to consume over 40 million views of one point, but so many aspects, you end up losing yourself as a person. And this is why the vulnerable or people are able to manipulate us easily. You find somebody just going to do proper research and saying, by the way, this is an audience I can target and I can get to manipulate them in this level. I mean, it's not going to cost me any harm as long as I have marketed my strategies well and I have properly incorporated them to a point you will never notice it's a scam. You know. So it all tails back to us as a society. We need to know what we are consuming and what we are taking in. And again, I'm not criticizing or I'm not tormenting anybody who actually followed, because it was so easy. When I sat down and looked at the strategies from the cookbook, from whatever, even the green juices were actually, even those are things I could incorporate in my healthy life. But you know, in this modern day and life, you need that plus medicine, or you need that plus you need to keep healthy at the same time seek medical attention, because cancer is not something to play with. Anyway, I got touched because that story is a bit sad. I'm not saying pressure. Good pressure is good, because even Step Up, I'm on Step Up. My friends are on Step Up. We keep each other's steps in check every evening. I'm like, how much has Angel today walked? How much have I walked? Why haven't I gotten to 10 kilometers? I need that. And we are many. But at the same time, we need to look at the bigger advantage or the bigger disadvantage, the pros and the cons, extensively. And this even narrows down to, I've been seeing online a lot of Ozempic, Monjaro type of weight losses journey that people are trying to embrace. And I am totally for that. Totally. Don't get me wrong. But do your due diligence. Do your proper research before you actually decide this is the route you want to take. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your body. It's you as a person. You need to do your due diligence. You need to do your proper research. Yes, I want to be on Ozempic. What exactly are the long-term effects, or what are the advantages or the disadvantages of this particular medicine? Does this help me long term, or am I going to get to 20 years and I'm starting to regret as to why I took the decision 10 years ago? But that's because you didn't do your due diligence as a person before taking in that particular thing that you consumed online. Are we together? Welcome to my class. We look at so many things going on social media, but we forget that people post the best parts of their lives only. Because nobody wants to post their bad part. I don't want to put my bad part online so that you judge me. I'm going to look at all the best angles I possibly could to convince you that my life is too good. And you're out there trying to emulate and get that pressure to make that your actual real life and everyday situation. It doesn't happen like that. As much as we consume this content online, we need to have discernment. Again, discernment is the word of the day. You need to know from what angle. Yeah, yes, I know Alice lives a good life online, but that's also a human being. She must be having her things going online. But nobody is going to put that. Nobody, even those people who still put their worst parts online, they haven't put for you the worst of the worst. They're still putting out those things they want you to see. But if you do not have that discernment, or you do not have that perception where you can identify this is real and this is logic and this can be lies, you're going to end up consuming content that will lead to you being sabotaged, you know? So we really need to check and clock the part of separating online and offline situation. Now, these are lessons we're learning from Belle Gibson's story. We started with the lie part, reasons as to why she would lie, because I was trying to understand, ukweli tu ukweli, umefika aje kudanganya watu to the point of you forming apps and making millions and billions through charity just by scamming people. How? And it all starts with that small lie. Uongo tu, just one. You start with that small one. I have a car. Tomorrow, you're going to have to lie that the car is in the garage. Where's the logbook? You're going to have to find other ways to lie where the logbook is. It's always one lie after the other because you have to keep up with this lie to maintain that it's the truth. And in the end, you end up, for Belle, I think in the end, she lied so much to the point where ilifika mahali, she was actually believing her lies. Does that make sense? Like she was believing that, this is the truth. And she went with it. Me, I think the last straw for me was she even took up the 60-minute the 60-minute interview and agreed to that $75,000 payment for her to come to the interview, only to embarrass and make herself look more bad, because there is no way you can move away from that particular point. Like, tell me why you were lying to me that you have cancer and you gave me initiatives to follow, and at the same time, me on my end, I'm actually struggling with this cancer for real. Like, I'm dying. I am in a point where I am gambling with my life, and you're still thinking that it's a joke. My main point was, often we find ourselves in these lying situations. On our day-to-day lives, you find yourself in situations where there's need to lie at that particular point. Because I remember an episode of Game of Thrones where Jon Snow was to agree with Cersei in terms of them fighting the dead, if I'm not wrong. And they had come with an illustration, or rather, they had gone and actually fought these people before the Mother of Dragons came to save them and all that. And he wanted Jon Snow to say that he was going to bow down to her after the war. The North would bow down to her as the only queen. But by then, he had already made a deal with Khaleesi. He was going to bend the knee for her. And then Lord Tyrone asked Jon Snow a simple question and asked, did you ever find it fit that you could actually lie in some instances? When lies are necessary. And we might not know when they are not, when they are or they are not necessary for us as people. But at the same time, there's a proverb, or there's a quote that's in the line. This is not exactly how it goes, but I guess you will get a hang of it. It says, let everything that comes out of your mouth be the truth, But not every truth has to be said. Did you catch that? Let everything that comes out of your mouth be the truth. But every truth does not need to be said. And with that, my people, let's stick to the truth. Let's try our best because they always lead us to somewhere. Those lies always have a way of catching up with you. They always have a way because you have to build it. That's the thing with a lie. And I always say there are things that require people who are intelligent, especially being a liar. You need to be smart. Because remember, number one, you need to remember. You need to remember you lied this so that next time when you're lying, again, they have to be associated with this first one. And with that said, until next time, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Today was a bit of a lecture or anything, but I just found it a bit crazy that such a small lie could have led to such a big scam, and this person is still scot-free because if you look at it, or even in the ethical, she has nothing. There's nothing they could arrest her for, you know. So yeah, until next time, see ya. It was nice talking and chatting. Bye.